about your mother
Mm.
and how your mother inspired you and her spiritual genetics.
Hmm.
What are the lessons that you still remember? And I know that you are still having conversations with your mom in spirit
Every day,
every day.
every day, every day. And you know what? I don't know if you recall or not, but when you were in my home last, you probably didn't even notice, but in my kitchen, there's a coffee pot and there's a picture of my mother
Mm,
that sits next to the coffee pot.
mm.
So every day I have a cup of coffee with my mother.
Wow.
Even as a young man coming up, that was our peaceful time. There was a point in time where no one was in the house or everyone was still asleep. And I started having a cup of coffee with my mother, man. And I still do it till this day. And sometimes mothers all around the world are pretty much the same, Ishmael. I believe that they all went to the same school because they all tell us the same things every day. It doesn't matter whether you're in America, North America, or South America, or Latin America, or Central America. They all tell us the same things. I have this one conversation with my mother every day. And she says, son, did you do your work? Yes, ma'am. Did you pray on it? Yes, ma'am. Well, keep working because God's busy. God's got to go help somebody else. Okay. You keep working, he'll get to you. And man, we have these same conversations every day. And I got to tell you, Mom moved to heaven, Ishmael, 40 years ago, but I can hear her voice right now, just like I'm talking to you.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I love that because, for so many people, believers of God, sometimes, and I say this with all respect, but sometimes I think people become parasites of their faith.
Mm.
Why? Because they are always asking for miracles, asking, but they don't
Mm.
have a plan. They
Mm.
don't have, a design. And I love that your mom said, keep working because God's busy. Probably he's helping somebody with bigger needs.
Bigger problems, right? Bigger
Bigger
problems than
problem.
you. Yes,
So,
sir.
it made you focused on your responsibilities, owning your own life and actions.
And
That's
what can you
amazing.
do with what you have in your hands right
Yes.
now? Okay. And I have to say this to you and share this with you in all sincerity. Um, Recently, I went to a speaking engagement and a little girl asked me a question, Ishmael. And I don't know. Hey, look, let me tell you something. Anybody out there, never take questions from children in public. They will ask you anything, Ishmael, and they ask big, big, big questions. And the funny thing about this, I remember, is if it was a little boy, you can answer it a certain way. But for me, when it's a little girl, whoa, now this is serious. Little girl asked me, what would you ask God? Whoa, Ishmael, that's a big question. Right? I mean, what would you ask God? And she
Yes.
asked me this in a room full of 1,000 people. And I have to first thank her and say that's a big question. But maybe the bigger question, Ishmael, and this is just me and you talking openly and personally, okay? And especially this time of year to reflect. Um, what would you ask God? Maybe that's not the big question. The big question is, what is God going to ask you?
Mm.
God is going to ask a lot of us the same question. God is going to say to a lot of us, you know what? That mind I gave you the same mind that Albert Einstein got. We see what he did with his. What did you do with yours? Those two hands I gave you the same hands that I gave Michelangelo.
Mm.
We saw what he did with his. What did you do with yours?
Mm.
Those legs I gave you, one man moonwalked, and another man used his to walk on the moon. But the big question, Ismael, is going to be when he asks about our feet, he's going to say, I gave you the same 2 feet that I gave everybody else on the planet. Where did you stand? What did you stand for? And who did you stand with?
Mm.
That's the big question. That's the big question. And right
That's
now,
really,
I'm
really,
standing with my brother, Ismael Cala.
yes, but that's really profound, Chris. That's really profound because, you know, for the entire year, for the influencer circle, we've been talking about service. We've been talking about high performance in social impact. We've been talking about legacy. So for you as Chris Gardner, what could be a legacy that Chris Gardner wants to leave to the world?
First of all, I don't want to leave. I got too much work to do.
I don't want to leave either. Not now.
No. I got too much work to do right here. Okay. You know what, Ishmael? Honestly, man, I have been so blessed to be in a position where I get to see and interact and hear from people all over the world. Maybe how something that I lived or experienced helped them in their journey. Mm-hmm. And it's a living legacy. That's the beauty of it, right? You're here to smell the roses now, okay? I don't know if you can notice behind me, but I'm sitting here in my library, and I once had the opportunity to ask my dear friend and mentor, Dr. Maya Angelou, if you could only read 100 books your whole life, what should they be? So she wrote me a list. And the books you see behind me is the list of the 100 books that you should read your whole life. Now,
will you share that list with us, Chris?
No. No, I will not. No. People have asked me that all around the world, Ismael, but you know how I feel about that? She gave it to me. She gave it to me. And that's the one thing that I own that nobody else on the planet has.
But remember, Maya Angelou said to Oprah Winfrey, and I love that phrase because Oprah repeats it so much, that Maya Angelou said to her, when you know better, you do better.
Yes.
So if you share a few of those books, I will know better and I will be able to do better, Chris.
You know what I know about you as well. Here's what I know about you. Right now, somebody on your research team is looking at the titles behind me and they're writing them down. They're writing them down.
For sure.
Oh, man. But the whole idea of a legacy, man, I'm in a position right now, honestly, Ismael, I just got back from Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates. Sharjah, for those of you who don't know, is the third largest of the 7 emirates in the UAE. Everybody knows Dubai. Everybody knows Abu Dhabi. Dubai is where they keep the jewelry. Abu Dhabi is where they keep the money. But the spirit and the soul of the UAE lives in Sharjah. And the only reason I mention it is because it's such a beautiful place of peace. And in 2019 was selected as the World Book Capital. And my first book, The Pursuit of Happiness, Ismael, just got translated into Arabic for the very first time. And
it's over 44 languages and more than 6 dialects. That's
6
the last
dialects
count
of
that I have.
Chinese. 6 dialects of Chinese alone.
Wow.
So the only reason I mention it is to be in a position where you can communicate and touch and reach people all over the world, man. I mean, I'm sitting here talking to you right now, but you and I are talking to people all over the world.
Yes.
And this is my only use of social media, is to sit down and have a few conversations with people like you all over the world, man. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing that technology is allowing us to do. Like it's amazing. We are talking about emotions, and I would like to ask you about emotions because and I know that you are concerned. You are
Mm,
concerned about the future of the country that we both live in,
mm,
as American citizens,
mm,
and the leadership and the emotions. Because we, as the word says, emotion is energy in motion. So
mm.
it's what moves us as human beings. So what was the most important emotion, Chris, that moved you and moved your intentions to succeed and become world class?
You know what it was for me, honestly? First of all, I knew it could be done. I knew it could be done. I'll never forget again the voice of Dr. Maya Angelou saying to me, it's been done before. There are people who've come before us who've done more with less. I'll never forget the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who once said, speaking on progress, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl, but you got to keep going forward. To which I will add that baby steps count too, as
Mm,
long as you're going forward. Through the fire, through the pain, baby steps in the rain, while all about you being the same, be the player, not the game.
wow.
Huh? All over the world, Ishmael. And I will say this, honestly, having concerns about the emotional state of the world right now,
Mm,
in America, but all over the world, too many places, Ishmael, people feel like it's okay right now to be the lowest, meanest, nastiest, ugliest versions of themselves. And it's okay.
mm.
The truth of the matter is, it's not okay. It's not okay. And that's why I'm taking the high road every single day.
Mm,
Every single day, and trying to be a candle in a cave, right? And I
mm.
know this, if Ismael Cala and Chris Gardner, if we stand there with these candles in this cave of darkness, others will come and they'll bring their candles,
Yes.
right? And when others come and bring their candles, all of a sudden this darkness will not seem so scary.
Mm.
So that's one of the big challenges for us, all of us, going into 2020, is to try and be a candle in a cave so that the darkness is not so frightening.